We've had our CFX3-75DZ fridge from Dometic for a year now. In this video, we're going to give you guys our 1-year review and our thoughts on this fridge. Let's get started. What's up, everybody? My name is Dan.
And I'm Marlene.
Welcome to Freely Roaming. So about a year ago, we got our new Dometic CFX3-75DZ, stands for dual zone fridge. There's a video that we uploaded about the unboxing, some just comparison between this one and our old fridge, which was the CFX3-75W. We switched to this fridge because of some of the features that we wanted to have, that we wish our 65 had. It's also a little bit bigger, just by a little, but it's different form factor too. So when we got this fridge, and we had to actually modify the fridge cabinet in our van a little bit last year before we left Croatia. So we made our fridge cabinet a little bit taller because the 75 is actually a little bit shorter than the 65 and longer.
Right.
So we had to make the fridge box taller, which gave us some storage space underneath, and a little bit longer, which meant we had to add another section to the end of our fridge box that also gave us some like shelf space that we didn't have before.
Right.
So even though it's taking up more space, but it allowed us to use up more of the space we actually weren't using that much.
Yeah, so it created more storage for us, which is a big bonus in a small space like this.
It's nice because it wasn't wider, so that we didn't have to extend the fridge box into the middle where we're standing right now. That's nice because that was space that we do have limited space on. The width of the van is not as flexible as how long our van is. Our space that we lost was the space between the second row of seats to this kind of middle section. So we were actually worried at the beginning that losing the maybe 6 inches of space was going to be noticeable and difficult for us to get in and out of the van. Yeah, but
we were just being dramatic.
we didn't notice anything. I mean,
we just got used to it.
Yeah, we got used to it. In this year that we've owned it, we installed it last November, December-ish, and we left Croatia, basically made our way around the Mediterranean, across Italy, through the south of France, along the Mediterranean coast of Spain, and all the way down to Morocco, and then we did a big loop in Morocco, and now we're back in Croatia again. So we want to give you guys a pretty thorough review and real honest account of our experience with this fridge. Let's jump to Marlene and let's have you talk about what you think.
Okay, so this is our CFX3 75DZ. Like Dan said earlier, DZ's for dual zone, and this one has 2 separate tops that open and close, which I really like. Our last one, it was a one piece. So I really like having 2 separate lids that open, because living in here, we usually have stuff. Like we go grocery shopping, our fruits and vegetables sit up here. So if I had one lid, that would make it a little harder for me because I'd have to move baskets off of the lid. But this one, I can just shove stuff to one side or the other, depending on what I need in here. And right now, it's a little bare. We need to go grocery shopping, but I really like it. There is a basket in here that has a separator, so I have an option of taking that in and out. And there's a LED light for each side also. So right now we have one side set as a refrigerator, and this other side is set up as a freezer. And the freezer side, I actually have 2 levels. I can't keep this lid open, so it's kind of weird, but I'm gonna put my head here. And then you can take a peek in here. We actually have a whole thing of ice in here. The very bottom of these fridges are the coldest areas, so we put our ice and ice cream in there to prevent it melting and freezing. We don't want to have that for our ice cream. So these are top loading fridges. So when you open it, the cold air doesn't escape. So that's one of the benefits for it. A lot of people complain that they don't like these type of fridges because it's hard to find stuff. But I think the key for success for these fridges, if you're worried about where things are, where's the jelly, where's the cheese, things like that, is to have one person dedicated to organizing the fridge. So when we go to the grocery store, we pull up a grocery cart here, we unload it, and I actually am in charge of loading the fridge up, so I know exactly where the juices are, the milk is, kids ask for anything. If it's not on the top and it's buried down, I know exactly where to go, so it's not a big deal. I really like, well, Dan will go into this, but I really like that there's a little USB plug here, and I can plug in our phones or our Bluetooth speaker, or I can plug in some cute fairy lights for some ambiance. For durability, as you guys know, we live in here with 3 kids, and they actually use this to climb up onto their bed. So they will come here, they'll put one foot here on our cabinet, kind of put another foot here, and then put their other foot here, and then kind of jump onto their bed. So as you guys can see, there's not that many scuff marks. Well, kids don't wear their shoes in here, but it's held up pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with this fridge. One of the things, I guess, if I was going to pick something that I don't like, is maybe how a lot of different products have ridges like this. I know a lot of products have these little bumps and grooves, but it makes it harder for me to clean. So if somebody spills something, I have to go here, here, here to clean around the grooves, which is kind of annoying, but I can see how it helps with grip if you have something on top. So that's kind of my opinion on using the fridge for the past year. And now I'm going to hand it over to Dan, and he'll tell you about the specs.
Okay, so I love this fridge. And some of you guys know that we're Dometic ambassadors, so you think, of course, I say that, but a lot of people who have this fridge will tell you the same. This is a really durable fridge, and actually what they did in this CFX3 model is to make it even stronger. It's a slightly different design. You can tell that these handles now are cast aluminum, and I assumed the previous one too was also metal inside, but it had this like plastic outer covering to it. So I don't know, maybe it's the same strength, but this just feels stronger to me, and these handles are metal too. One of the big changes they did besides the outer appearance is they completely redesigned this panel, this LCD panel. In the past, it was a really basic LCD that just had numbers. And you toggle through some basics, real simple interface. It's same sort of information that's in here. You can set the temperature, battery protection, meaning there's low, medium, and high. It can protect your battery depending on how you're using it. Low, medium, and high basically means when will the fridge shut itself off when the battery gets below a certain voltage. And it shows the voltage right there, so it is detecting the voltage of your battery system as well. We have ours set to low because we have a pretty robust electrical system that's not connected to the vehicle. So even if that battery runs dead from this fridge, which is very unlikely, it doesn't matter. And I think this will go down as low as something in like the 10-ish volts. And then the new thing that's here on this one, which I really like, is the Bluetooth. It has a Bluetooth feature now on top of Wi-Fi. The previous one also had Wi-Fi, which I didn't use a lot. And the previous app was a little bit more basic. It just lets you change the temperature settings. This new app is a lot better, and I'm going to show you how this app works. So basically, when you have Bluetooth turned on, you go to the app, and it launches the app, and then you can see right away, it actually just logs right in, and it shows you what temperature each side is set at. And this CFX3 dual zone has 2 sides, and it shows you right here. We have the front side, which is this side, set to 32 degrees, and then the back is set to, actually, let's see exactly what we'll have it set at. Set temp. Okay, the front is set to 32 degrees. The back is set to 18 degrees. So the back is set up as a freezer, the front is set up as a fridge, and you can see here when the temperature is, this is the actual temperature and this is the temperature that it's set at. And you can kind of hear a hum right now. That's the fridge turning on because that had reached above its set temperature, so now it's going to bring it down to 18. And this is the new feature that I really like, which when you swipe over, it will tell you how many amps it's using. Just within this last hour, you see the fridge cycling on and off, and it shows you it used as much as 3 amps for 10 minutes, and it shut off when below, less than a half an amp. And it kind of cycles on and off based on what your temperature is set at, what the ambient temperature is. You can go to day, so you can see here for the last 24 hours how many amp hours it used every hour. So you can see here, for the last 24 hours, between the hours of 4 p.m. and 8 a.m., it used below 1 amp per hour, which is really low. But obviously, because nighttime temperatures are colder, so it doesn't have to turn on as much. And then during the day, when it's warmer in here, it uses more. But even then, it never reached over 1.5, maybe just over 1.5 amp per hour. So for a day, you're probably going to use about 30 amps. And that's with one side set as a freezer. And if you have both sides set as a fridge, it's going to use less. So that's the new feature that I really like. And you can even go to like a week mode or show you just exactly how many amps you used through all the days of the week. So that's the CFX3 app that I really like. That's a new feature on this one. I can just, because I use my phone to check the battery status through my Victron Connect app already, it's easy for me to just go, okay, in the morning, let's see what the fridge is at, let's see what the batteries are at, let's see how much solar we're getting. And now it's really kind of consolidated my sort of system monitoring just to my phone. About sort of how we use this fridge, like Marlene said, she's in charge of organizing, because two people can organize too if you want to, but you just have to be on the same page, because it is all about organization. And if you organize correctly, you can fit a lot of stuff in here. This is a 75-liter fridge. Our previous one was a CFX3-75DZ, and that's actually very close. I think that's actually, even though it had the 65 name, I think it was more than 65 liters of volume. But the two sides, like Marlene said, is really nice. She mentioned how you can open one and not the other. That really simplifies just if somebody's here, because our kitchen is across the way over here, and then our fridge is over here. So that makes it really nice when you're cooking. And I do a lot of the cooking. I really like being able to cook here and prep over here, turn around, grab my stuff right here. And also, if I'm cooking something that's a little bit more complicated, I can use one side as almost like a countertop, as a prep station, and not completely block off access to the other side of the fridge. So if I know I'm doing some dish that requires me to take stuff out of this compartment, and I'll just set up a station over here to do some peeling or cutting or something, right? So I can still get access to my stuff. That's a really extra bonus about this sort of two-sided setup that I really like. And the way that this came, and this has always been the case for us, these fridges have reversible doors. So this door can open the way that it does now, or it can open this way. But the way that you have to switch them is you have to open this up. You could kind of have to like pull this out, and every time I try to pull this out, I feel like I'm gonna break something, but it never breaks. So if we just bought this fridge and then installed it in here without switching the door, it would open this way, which would be kind of weird. So keep in mind, when you get your fridge, if you buy a fridge like this, it doesn't open the way you want to, you can switch them. What I do wish they had here, which they don't have here in Europe, we're from the United States and traveling in Europe for now. We upgraded this last year, so we didn't have the ability to get what's available in the US, and I assume in some parts of the world as well, is like an insulating cover for this. The insulating cover will add just a little bit of space. It's designed for these, they can cover up all the spaces and make this even more efficient. And I mentioned before, it uses less than 1.5 amps per hour on the average, so it's already really efficient. But I've heard that having that insulating cover can increase it by, I don't know, 10-20% of efficiency, which is something that I hopefully will be able to get at some point if we get access to one. It does use more power when you have it on freezer mode, but that's obvious. The power doesn't bother me so much because we have enough power to be able to charge our batteries with solar. We charge when we drive. But just the way that this fridge is set up, we have the panel over here, we have the plug over here, but we also down below here we have the vent. And the vent, when the fridge is on, this is where you hear the fan noise, you hear the compressor sound, you feel a little bit of heat coming out. And just so happened, this side of the bed is also where I sleep. So at night, fortunately, when the temperature is colder, it doesn't come on as much. But I do hear it from time to time, this fan kicking on, the compressor kicking on. I would imagine that if you're a light sleeper, or if you're easily bothered by sound, this could be a problem for you. It's not too much of a problem for me, but I do notice it when I'm awake. One way to be able to avoid that, just consider that into the design of your van build, of your layout. Consider where you're going to put the fridge, where the vent's going to be, which way the door's going to open. A lot of people put these fridges like inside a cabinet with a sliding drawer so they can kind of disappear and go away. If that's the case for you, then you don't have to worry about it. But for us, we actually feel like this is the best way for us to use it because it's very easily accessible. We can get to stuff whenever we need to, and the kids can use it, and it's a really durable surface. So, and also it's less things for us to build. If we had to build a sliding drawer and a whole cabinet, not only will it take more time and effort, it would take up more space. This fridge is already pretty big, and to add a box that kind of goes around it just takes up more space than it needs to. And we actually quite like how it looks. We kind of went with this kind of gray, dark, we have this dark upholstery, we have this kind of gray headliner, and we painted our walls like the same light gray color. And this color scheme on the CFX3-75DZ just happens to match it perfectly. Yeah, so I would say for this last year, we're really happy with this fridge. So there's my 2 cents about our new fridge that we have for the last year. You can probably hear that compressor. Right?
You're a little bit of a princess and a pea kind of.
I feel every little grain of sand on the sheets when I sleep.
I know.
And she doesn't.
I don't hear the compressor. I don't feel sand in the bed. Just go to sleep.
Yeah.
So how long does this food last us as a family of 5? We didn't really talk about that, so we should talk about that.
This is, like I said, bigger than our previous one. Mm-hmm. And we were actually happy with the size of our previous one. So we didn't think to upgrade to this one because it was necessarily bigger. We upgraded this one because it has the dual zone feature.
Right.
But it turns out like it does hold a little bit more stuff. And for a family of 5, and our kids are getting bigger, if you have kids, that when they're little, it's like you just give them a little bit of your food and then that's enough. Not anymore. They eat full-grown adult meals now. Yeah. So we have to carry quite a bit of food. Last year when we went to Norway, we bought a whole bunch of groceries, and not all refrigerated stuff, so that helps. If we sort of figure out exactly our meals and what we're going to eat and what we're going to buy, we can last easily a week just by using stuff in the fridge.
Right.
And some pantry goods. But if we were to last, I think in Norway, we probably had like 30 days worth of food. And that's including all the canned goods and all the dry goods and the pantry stuff.
And that's because Norway's really expensive for those that don't know. And we wanted to save money. So we bought stuff in the cheaper, normal price countries.
Yeah.
And not pay for
specifically meat and alcohol.
Yeah.
Right? For some reason, actually, not all meat.
Cheeses and things like that.
Yeah, cheeses. Fresh stuff, too, because obviously Norway is a cold country. There's not a lot of produce being grown most of the year. I'm sure they grow some stuff, but we found some fish for cheap because that's a local product. We didn't have this fridge last time we went, so we didn't have this ability to do it. If we're going to go back to Norway again, we would use, like we do now, this whole side of freezer. And we can even turn both sides into freezer if we want. And because in Norway we were doing a lot of driving and the sun never went down in the summer, power would not be an issue. To use both sides of the freezer, you'll probably use a little bit more power, but that wouldn't be a problem for us if we're back up in Norway during the summer. And the nice thing about these fridges too is that you can control the temperature by the degree. So you don't just say, okay, this side's a freezer, this side's a fridge. You can actually say, you know, this compressor can go down as far as like -7 Fahrenheit, which is ridiculously cold. We have it at 15 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's already freezing everything that's in here. And this side, as you saw earlier, is in the 30s. But you could even go like -15 or -18 over here, I think is what we have. And then you can go like 25, right? So just a little bit below freezing. So you can still have part of it as a fridge because, like Marlene said earlier, the bottom is the coldest. So when you have it at the bottom, when you have stuff in the 25 or maybe 28, 30 side, the stuff in the bottom will still kind of freeze, but then the stuff on the top will get a little bit warmer, so you don't have to end up having like your refrigerated, you don't have your like milk or yogurts freeze if you don't want them to. So just a ton of flexibility to have this. Not just because it's dual zone, it's almost like there's miniature zones inside each compartment as well.
Right, you get to know the fridge and where to put the meat and where to put the yogurts. For the best temperature for whatever you put in.
Yeah, every time we go buy food, we always overbuy, but somehow
it always fits.
It always fit into some place. And every time we're coming back from the grocery store with our shopping cart, with our bags, we're like, this is never going to fit.
What do we do?
We've done it again. So yeah.
But if we ever go and buy too much, we can take things out of packaging and repackage it, and it saves.
Yeah, and then you got to be conscious too about what you buy, the kind of products that you buy. Like, are they compactly packaged or can they be combined? You know, so especially if you go to places like a butcher shop, or if you go to like farmer's market and buy things from places there that have less packaging, that's going to be easier. And these fridges actually really they work better when things are closely packed together. You know, there's less airspace between each product, between each item in there, so there's less like air to chill, you know. So when they're more packed together, especially the freezer side, when things are frozen, you know, the freezer actually doesn't even have to work that hard. It's when you have just a little bit of stuff, when it's mostly empty, or we have a lot of packaging, like a lot of airspace, then the fridge is actually working a little bit harder.
And we also consciously, like when we buy our milk in Europe so far and our juices, we buy things that are off the pantry shelf versus the refrigerated section. So we can still buy like 6, I don't know what size is that, half a liter of milk.
They're a liter.
But keep it, you know, in our cabinet. We have it in the cabinet, and then as we need it.
We have these in here now, but you know, we buy these like liter boxes, and these don't need to be refrigerated.
Right, just when you open them.
Yeah, after you open it, you do. So then we put it in after we open it. And then, but having these rectangular shapes is also really great for these fridges because you can really tightly pack them together. Juices too.
Yeah.
We buy juices that are in boxes like that too.
That's one of the other conscious things about how is it packaged? Can it sit out? Can we buy it in bulk and then just put it in the refrigerator when we need to? Oh,
actually, one thing I didn't mention is it uses both AC. It can use AC or DC 12 volt. We have it running on 12 volt the entire time. What I did do this past year is I went down there and then I looked at the wire that's connecting to our 12 volt system. I eliminated all the extra length of wire because the more wire you have, and then if you have thin-ish wire, that's going to make your voltage drop much more significantly. So I went in there and just figured out exactly the length of wire that I needed. So I trimmed them down. So now we have just the perfect amount of wire connecting the fridge to our electrical system. And that seemed to have helped. I have no scientific data, but it feels like it's holding, the voltage showing on the screen now matches the voltage of my battery monitor elsewhere more accurately.
Yeah, and if you don't have a whole solar setup like we do, you can actually charge it with a portable battery bank.
Yeah, you can use the PLB40, which is a little lithium battery bank. And this thing is designed to use with these fridges. This is a 40 amp hour battery. So as you saw earlier, if you're using both of these as fridges, you would use just about an amp per hour. So that means this will power your fridge without any kind of external source for almost 2 days, which is kind of perfect for a weekend. If you're just gonna take your fridge and your camper for a weekend and you don't have an electrical system, charge this up at home and then take it with you for the weekend. That thing's really great. It uses a lithium iron phosphate battery, which has like 4,000 charge cycles. So even if you used it every day, you top it off, drain it, top it off, drain it every day, it'll last like over 10 years, which is a really worthwhile investment. And it's a little bit expensive, just like these fridges are a little bit expensive, but I think they're totally worth it.
Yeah, the quality's there, I think.
Yeah. This fridge is by Dometic, and Dometic's been building RV products for decades. This brand actually came from the company Waco that started in Australia. And for some reason, all these chest-size or chest-style fridges, a lot of them come from Australia. And they must be doing something right over there, building these chest fridges, because all the best ones come from there. But that's it. That's our 1 year overview of this fridge. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below. If you guys are not subscribed to our channel, go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Otherwise, we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye.